My man Evan, you on the line?
What's going on, Cliff? Man, we're all here.
We're all here. Hopefully everybody's downloaded our app from the Google Play Store, Apple Store. Get our app on your phone, on your device, so you can catch Right Sides Only Radio.
Anywhere. I don't care, man. You're on your boat, you're in your car, you're in an airplane, and they tell you that it's okay to take it off airplane mode. What better way to suffer?
You get some Right Sides Only Radio that way.
That 3-year-old screaming in your ear.
Yeah. Then
dial into us, put your headphones in, and then you got Cliff and Evan screaming in your ear.
We're here.
About the NASCARs.
And all them NASCARs out there.
All them NASCARs.
They didn't make it on the track today, man.
They didn't make it on the Tricky Triangle, but you know what? They didn't fire their engines, but we're still going to do it because that's just we don't need a race.
Yeah, I'm sitting in air conditioning. I ain't got no rain.
No, we don't need no stinking race. Let me tell you something, dude. It rained here. It did. We've had some spots of rain here on and off. But
send some of that my way, man.
It's not shutting down Right Sides Only Radio. No, sir. No. Sorry.
Well, welcome to the Right Sides Only Radio podcast. We're live right now. We appreciate everybody. Like I said earlier, if you have access to the Google Play Store, Apple Store, download, search for Right Sides Only Radio app. Give us reviews, ratings, that sort of thing. Hey, we're having a lot of fun. Evan and I were, seriously, this show started about 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah, it happens that way.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, if y'all have heard about the big news, we really haven't broken ground on this yet, so understand that I'm just kind of cutting the ribbon on the quote-unquote big show.
Yep.
But that turned into like a 4-hour
oh my God, that was a
Festivus
lot of fun
for the rest of us. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how it goes, folks. We get on the mic and we just decide to, I don't even know how to explain it, just kind of, just the magic ensues.
We have a word for it. We call it Let's Roll.
Let's roll. Well, and here's the problem is we'd love for y'all to hear some of the outtakes. But number one, we typically don't record them. And number two,
just because there's children in the room,
half of it would probably be bleeped out if we did. So
yeah, you know,
there's
got to watch out for the little ones there.
Well, when you got two people that are so obsessed with putting down the best product, Cliff and I spend most of our time in the background, like throwing stuff and
seeing
cursing technology.
Cursing technology.
Cursing technology.
Yeah, you know, you get burned by that.
Yeah, it's like we're operating completely off of God's sense of humor, satellites, a lot of copper wire, and, you know, sometimes it just fails. And, you know, thanks a lot, Obama.
Yeah, but, you know, no, besides that, dude, I mean, that's what helps us to relate to NASCAR, right? Because we get burned by technology.
Well, here's the deal. Today they got burned by good old-fashioned Mother Nature.
Oh, my gosh, right?
So they're going to run the race tomorrow at, like,
10:30?
I don't know, like 10:30 in the morning where we're all at work. And, well, some people might not be, but like Cliff and I are going to be. Actually, at 10:30, Cliff is probably still going to be in bed because in California it's going to be like 4 in the morning or something like that. But
it's true, dude. I mean, that's way early. I'm going to have to catch it on the way to work, I guess. So we'll see.
But, I mean, let me tell you something, folks. We've got this has been a crazy week for Right Sides Only Radio and the RightFrontTire.com. Yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, and if you're listening to the show right now and you're not paying attention, then I got nothing. But if you've been noticing the tweets that have been going out, we have some remarkable things for our little show have started to come to fruition. So we've got this great marketing partnership with Light Up the World Beverages, which I don't know how to frame this because some of you folks might not know who Darren Hagen is. But let me go ahead and put some backdrop on this. Darren Hagen is a dirt beast. You're talking about a 6-time USAC champion, which, if you've ever watched a midget race, that's a heck of a feat because, man, those cars, if you've watched the snowball, I mean, any of these huge, like the Chili Bowl.
Yeah. They're tough to drive, man.
Man, they're tough to drive, and it takes a lot of grit and a lot of determination, and Darren Hagen is a beast. He is very well known in that business. He started a company.
Hold on, let me get some of that action. Andy's here in Southern California.
He's part of the Inland Empire.
Yeah, hey, so, there you go, the IE. Let's lay claim to Darren right now. But, Tyler, back to how you found this gentleman.
Well, he's a Southern California boy, and what's great about Darren is what Cliff and I like so much, what we admire so much about him, is his work ethic, his integrity, his diligence. He's really big on giving back, and part of Light Up the World Beverages is all about kind of giving back. Darren does a lot for people that nobody ever sees, whether it's helping them get into a car or tires or whatever it is, or promoting drivers. Darren's all about that. So basically how this relationship started was he gets this groundbreaking opportunity to put these illuminated water bottles, which if you haven't seen them, you've got to go check them out.
Yeah.
They're really just a super neat deal.
We have a little thing up on Right Sides Only Radio. Go check them out.
We have a thing. We have a device. We're big on devices here at Right Sides Only Radio. So
it's a picture.
He gets the opportunity to put these in gift bags at a really momentous event.
Huh.
And then when it's all said and done, somehow or another, Darren and I get connected. Me, Darren, and Cliff get connected. And over the past few months, it's kind of been just establishing a relationship.
Blossoming.
It's just kind of blossomed.
Yeah.
But we really believe in this guy and what he's doing. He's doing a great thing for a lot of really small dirt track racers.
Right.
He's big at promoting the sport. He's a really big fan of putting grassroots dirt racing at the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah.
And if you know the rightfronttire.com and you understand how Cliff and I think, man, we're all about that.
We like that kind of stuff.
We like that kind of stuff. We're all about the little guys. So now, check this out. If you put in an order, and let me tell you something, they can put anything you want on these water bottles. They can put a face, a picture, a name. If you want to do a benefit for the church, or you want to do a fundraiser for your school, a birthday party. Man, who wouldn't want something, a customized, illuminated LED water bottle?
Preach it, Evan. Preach it
for their birthday for their birthday party, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of sad that the moment has passed and I didn't get them for my birthday. But so corporate events, you name it, or hey, at your local racetrack, they can customize them to anything that you want. And like I said, man, they're doing fantastic things. So go check out Light Up the World Beverages. They'll
take your orders. It's like Home Shopping Network, except for motorsports and really cool people who back the sport and that sort of thing, right?
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
There's more, Cliff. There's more, Cliff.
Yeah.
When you call and you put in your order, if you say, I want to use promo code RSOR 5150 until the end of the season, you will get 25% off of your order. 25% off your order.
We're saving that's awesome.
We're saving you a lot of money. I mean, think about that. If you put in a $10 order, that's what? $250, all you math majors.
There you go.
$100. That's $25 off a $100 order.
Hey.
And Darren puts some of the proceeds of every bottle of water he sells into, you never know what that guy's going to do for somebody.
Yeah.
So you're actually helping somebody out.
Yep, absolutely. No, we're very honored and privileged to be proud promoters of Light Up the World Beverages with Darren Hagen. We and the fact, like Evan said, with the promo code of RSOR 5150. And if you want to look up the 5150 part, feel free to do so.
Kind of a funny story.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the getting the tickets, and no, I'm just kidding. But anyways,
or if you're a Van Halen fan, you can just be a Van Halen fan.
All right, I'll give you the Van Halen part. So anyways, go check out lightuptheworldbeverages.com. There, there's a phone number there. There's information. There's ways you can follow them on Twitter. But like Evan said, I mean, we're stoked to be a supporter of what he's doing, and certainly for just like everybody else we've gotten in touch with over the last several episodes, people that support Right Sides Only Radio. So we really appreciate it as well. So again, get yourself that 25% discount. Go order some stuff. I'm telling you, school season's starting. Kids are in clubs and sports and all that other sort of stuff. So, make sure make an order. Get yourself.
Hey man, if you're having like a casual get together at your house, anniversary, wedding party, dude. How cool would that be?
Absolutely.
And oh, by the way, you ought to see these things. They're like LED powered. I mean, they're like, it's like having a flashlight with water in it. Yeah. Who wouldn't want a flashlight with water in it, right?
Right.
And there's more. We actually became ambassadors for Nectar sunglasses, which is kind of a unique deal. They're a great company. They're all about the environment. They're all about loving this big blue marble that we're living on right now.
Yeah.
They're big about being outdoors. They're big about surfing. They're big about the beach. And I mean, come on, Cliff, you live near some of the most beautiful beach systems
there might
in
be
the country.
There might be one good one.
I was trying to pump you up. You just kind of
you
like shot me off my horse there, dude. Just kind of, yeah, plink. So we're ambassadors for Nectar sunglasses. So go check them out right now. They got this big thing on right now. They're trying to help save the bees. I don't know if people realize it, but bees are a very important part of our ecosystem. They do a lot more than just make beautiful honey and occasionally sting you when you make them mad.
They make nectar sunglasses, apparently.
They make nectar sunglasses, apparently. So go check out Nectar sunglasses. You're not only supporting Right Size Only Radio, the rightfronttire.com, but you're also you're actually you're making an investment into our children and our grandchildren's future. So
there you go. Hey, that's honest right there.
So this is kind of some of the stuff that's been happening behind the scenes.
Big week here.
Yeah, it is just been absolutely. It's been nuts. Cliff and I have been fielding text messages and phone calls, and I don't want to turn this into just like a big major sponsorship plug, but we're really excited about getting on board with people that not only support the sport, but people that are supporting the environment. They're being eco-friendly, and they're also doing good things for people.
Right.
It's a great thing to feel a part of, and we're very humbled and honored.
No, that's why we're even tonight. So we have a guest on tonight.
Well, speaking of Nectar sunglasses,
speaking
of good people, right?
Yep.
This gentleman happens to be hailing from North Carolina. He happens to have Nectar on his vehicle, on his ball cap. If you ever see that old flat bill, you can't mistake Obi in a crowd. He's got that old flat bill on. He's got Nectar on the side of his car. He's got the rightfronttire.com. He's got Right Sides Only Radio. He's got Zip Air Tools USA, which has become a huge part of his business. He's got Baby Moon Cafe. He's got Aviator Brewing, which makes some phenomenal beer. Who doesn't like beer and racing, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, he basically just, the whole world came apart for Obi, and he grabbed a checkered flag. This guy has been working his entire life to get to this point in motorsports, and he got there, and he dinged out a big win for his sponsors, and we just can't say enough. If y'all know anything about the Right Front Tire or Right Size Only Radio, y'all know Obi.
Yep.
Y'all know him because we talk about him all the time, because he is basically the portrait of do what we do. Him on board last weekend, he got a free pass. He got the lucky dog because he went to 311.
Right.
That, as far as I'm concerned, that gets you out of anything.
Right.
I don't even care if it's a felony. If you're at a 311 concert, they ought to just waive it, right? I'll just be. So he took a break. He actually took some time for himself and broke away and went listen to some live music. So he wasn't able to make it with us this weekend.
Right.
But he's here with us tonight to talk about his win.
Very cool. Yeah, so, I mean, it's, as we're highlighting, and the list can go on and on. I mean, what's really cool is having the medium to talk about, as Evan said, we're always very much a fan of what people are doing, right? So when you're putting in the effort and you're putting in the work, and, we've talked about this on the show quite a bit, because this kind of hits home for me in terms of where my fandom comes from, is that it's really cool to follow this sport and find out those allegiances and how important those relationships between sponsors and the drivers that are chasing their dreams and the people that are backing that. I always think that's always an important element of how we portray or how we view this sport. So it's really cool. It's been a big week for us here at Right Sides Radio with Evan and I. Ironically, you work all week, Evan. We're so busy doing the day job, and then we come across all these great partnerships and people like those folks that you just spoke of. Where it all just kind of comes together. So the Light Up the World beverages, the Nectar sunglasses, and what Obi does. I mean, this is kind of the sport that we follow. And I know that, we talk about that, quite a bit. We know as fans, we're sitting here waiting to see who the main sponsor of the Sprint Cup Series is for next year, all that sort of stuff. And they're important elements of the sport. So happy to do it. Happy to be on board with a lot of these great people out there doing what they do each day, each week. And so, we appreciate the effort and we appreciate the nod towards our efforts as well. Very good
absolutely.
stuff. We're waiting for Obi to call in. We're going to talk to him a little bit.
It's really cool stuff, and we're going to talk about some of the other stuff that we have going on. And Cliff, I hate to steal the thunder.
Yeah, go for it.
But hey, man, the big show.
Yeah,
the big show. We've been talking about this. This has kind of been a vision of Cliff and I since we first got together. And Cliff, why don't you go ahead and run with this a little bit and tell folks what we're going to do?
No, yeah, the big shows, absolutely. So Evan and I doing this podcast thing, we look forward to this. Like I said, the show started about 2 hours ago. But the thing is, we looked forward to how are we going to make the show different? What can we do for the beginning of the chase this season? We're all looking forward to it. So we picked out September 12th. Evan and I cleared calendars and decided, that's the first race after the last race of the regular season at Richmond. So we're going to do the big show, 3 hours with you in the morning. If you download our app, make sure you do that. Bluetooth us into your car stereo, your work radio, wherever you got to get us. And we're going to spend 3 hours. Evan and I are talking about all the things that are in that. And, we're looking forward to springing that on you over the next few weeks. So, we spent a lot of time on this sort of thing. We look forward to it. Like I said before, we really appreciate those followers and supporters of what we do each week. So, we can talk about the race tonight. We're going to get to that. But like I said, I don't mind at all taking a few minutes and just talking about some of the things we're doing at Right Sides Only Radio. What do you think about that, Evan?
Oh, I think it's great.
You stoked or what? We're going to do the big show.
The big show is just going to be really, really cool. Like I said, and we thought it would be neat. We can get some people to tune in while on their drive to work, and it's going to be over a pretty big span of time. Realize that we're talking about a couple of different time zones. Cliff is in Southern California. I'm in Texas, so it sometimes makes it difficult. So we figure, hey, if we do like a 3-hour show in the morning, it covers kind of a broad range.
Yep.
So everybody gets an opportunity to listen to a little bit. We're going to have all different types of subjects we're going to talk about. We're going to have call-in guests. We're going to have promotional things. We're going to do all kinds of really neat stuff. And it's going to be just kind of a great, fun listening experience. And it's going to be our first attempt for Cliff and I to kind of just run, I hate to say it, but kind of willy-nilly.
Yeah. So willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah. That means we get to do whatever we want. But we're looking forward to it. We're planning some stuff. We dropped that this weekend on our Twitter feed and that sort of thing. We just look forward to doing this big show. 3 hours is going to be pretty cool. So if you can stand an hour of our voices, you're going to get a bonus 2 more hours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Pocono kind of just shot us a ghost, right? So we got this
a little bit.
But here's the deal. We had a lot of stuff that went on this weekend that might have went a little bit unnoticed, like Neil Bonnet's birthday. A lot of people might not know. They might not appreciate who Neil Bonnet was. If you're a race fan, Neil Bonnet was almost larger than life. So he basically started off as a protege of Bobby Allison, who was another really just kind of NASCAR original great. And he suffered a really, really what was a very dark day in NASCAR. He actually died during a practice run for the Daytona 500. This week was kind of a celebration of Neil Bonnet's life. He did a lot of stuff for a lot of people. He was a really, really just kind of a fantastic guy. So this week has kind of been honestly, kind of been a tough week for a lot of people that were involved with Wood Brothers Racing. Basically, anybody whose lives he touched. We want to send a shout out to Wood Brothers Racing and everybody that was involved with the life and the career of Neil Bonnet. And hopefully we can celebrate his life and not the tragic death.
Right.
One thing that comes behind all of this stuff is that the unfortunate nature of the sport is it is inherently dangerous.
Sure.
The backside of that is NASCAR has taken great strides to take a look at these incidents and try to learn from them and try to do something to improve the safety. So, although it was tragic, and although everybody hates it, and NASCAR lost a guy who was bigger than life, it didn't necessarily, his death wasn't in vain. A lot of changes were made over several decades to make NASCAR as safe as it is now. So we wanted to give a special shout out to Wood Brothers Racing and Neil Bonnet and his family and friends. Just to say, hey man, we acknowledge your amazing career, and thank you very much for your contribution, and just kind of.
You know what, dude? I can't help it. I'm sorry. We talked about this earlier before the show started today, that we weren't going to mention the Brad Keselowski incident out at Watkins Glen. But then as you started talking about all that, I mean that's a perfect tie-in, dude. You know, the fact that NASCAR's made its innovations into safety and that sort of thing. Brad, highlighted with his comment this week of, how do you say it? He said, it's just a matter of time before that basically kills someone, to kind of somewhat paraphrase what he said. But, along those lines, and it's like, the unfortunate truth of that is that, innovation takes a lot. They've been showing that wreck this weekend, kind of over and over, the big one out there at Pocono, and running into the wall and just cremating where the engine's getting ripped out of the thing. So, the safety element, we talk about this a lot on the show. We talk a lot of safety. And we get it, but the fact of the matter is, like a lot of really good things, it was backed by tragedy. So, hats off to that and the innovation, those things, those people that lose those lives like that and that sort of thing, it always results in something good and for the benefit of others, which is great.
It was, I tell you what, if you saw the replay, the in-car footage of that wreck, that was bad. I just remember clenching out of instinct, waiting for the impact, because he basically lost his brakes and just went head on into the barrier. And I just, in my mind, you think about, because Neil Bonnet, obviously, he went head on into the wall, and they're claiming that was one of the mitigating factors and what ended his life. And you look at the Dale Sr. incident. So every time you see one of these cars at speed run square into a barrier, you have to realize that we say it jokingly a lot that it's not the fall, it's a sudden stop. But when it comes to physics, it is absolutely the truth. The goal is to try to dissipate as much energy as you possibly can away from anything sensitive, like tissue. Bone, things like that. So the safer barriers and the Hans device and the all the padding around the head and the improvements in the helmets. I mean, the restraint systems. Everything that NASCAR has done has been to try to minimize the amount of energy that is basically transferred to the driver itself.
Right.
And that's kind of. So when you see a wreck like that, it's just subconsciously you go back to all these tragic events in the past. And Brad, for the most part, just kind of said, he kind of brushed it off and said, "Okay, I'm good. Let's go." Right. They pulled the backup car out of the trailer, and he went back on the track.
That's confidence in that safety, though, that he highlights there. You get back on the horse and ride when you have an incident like that, feeling confident about the equipment that you're in.
And that's what makes elite level drivers elite level. That is a whole. I'm sorry, but they're tough people.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I couldn't do it. No. Okay, I've had my fun. If I wreck in a go-kart, I'm not getting back on a go-kart. So.
How about you, Obi? You looking forward to sitting in a Sprint Cup someday, or a Sprint Cup car and hitting a wall?
Man, I don't know about hitting the wall, but they say there's some pretty nice AC in those things.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, everybody, this is Obi, driver of the number 29.
Brian Obuzinski.
There he is.
The Obi.
What's going on, guys? Hey, super stoked about the big show, guys. That's super cool, man.
Yeah, thanks.
That's going to be I'll have to call in sick.
Yeah.
And now I just announced it on the radio. So hey, boss.
Don't worry, we are too.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, we're clearing calendars. That's code word, Obi.
You're not.
you stick.
I didn't get the wink nod. Clearing calendars.
Let me tell you something, Obi. You want to hang around with guys like Evan and I? We'll teach you those types of things.
I got you. All right, role model type.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a way to do this. Stick with us.
Yeah, basically, the next time you want to do something silly, you need to vet it through us first. We'll probably give you the stamp of approval, but at least let us laugh about it too, is all we're asking. So,
well, Obi, how was 311 last weekend?
Man, you guys might laugh, and the folks that are close to me know, but that was our 62nd time seeing them. I guess I'm like a super fan.
That is super fan.
Yeah, man, better and better. They're cool guys. They're really nice to me.
Yeah.
Peanut, the bassist, is actually a big NASCAR fan, so
cool.
He kind of keeps up with what I'm doing.
Cool.
Just being friends and passing over the years.
Yeah. And then you had a pretty big weekend preceding all that, though, right? That was kind of the payoff.
They just happen to be one of my favorite bands too, which is funny because I've got some. I got some stories I have to tell offline about 311 experiences, but they're fans. So when you said you were going to see 311, I'm like, oh, that's a free pass. I don't care what we had planned. Yeah, it's like you just go out of. You deserve the break, man. You've earned it. So.
Yeah.
Man, that was a long weekend, like Cliff said. On Friday, there was a guy who wanted me to get back to my roots. You never forget your roots. But he wanted me to jump in a pure stock car down at a little quarter-mile track here in Raleigh, just south of Raleigh. I'd never raced there. I'd been there to help some friends out and stuff, but I said, all right, I got a little bit of free time in my crazy life, and we qualify in the somewhere like 8, 9, something like that, but ended up finishing third. Came through the field, got away from everything, and little tracks like that are crazy. I compare it to driving like inside a fishbowl. It's as soon as you're turning, you're in the gas and you're turning again. It's just such a tiny track, but it was a lot of fun, and got home late and slept and actually went to work the next morning and got out of work and went to the track, and the crew had everything's already unloaded and ready to go, and it's just they're the best. I don't have a lot of crew, but the crew that I have, they pull their weight and
Obi,
had everything waiting.
I was just going to sorry, dude, I don't want to interrupt you, but I was curious.
Good, man. Go ahead.
I was curious about that. I know you hit on something. So ask Evan. I interrupt him like this all the time. So you were talking about your crew getting unloaded and that sort of thing, and then you said it. I don't have a lot of crew, but what I do have. So who are your crew? What do you roll into a track with? Is it 2 or 3 guys, or who helps you out on the weekends?
It's usually 2. During the week, it's me and Captain Ron in the shop. Captain Ron is a pilot by day and crew chief by night.
Nice.
But I actually I met Captain Ron only a couple years ago when I was driving for Richard Aliff Motorsports, and he was the one of the mechanics down there and had to stand in as a spotter for me one night. And due to his pilot background, him being on the radio is like, it's super calm because of his day job, speaking with air traffic control.
Yeah,
so it was
butter,
like a perfect fit for him. Yeah, and he didn't know that it would work so well. And I've had a bunch of people spot for me over the years, but that was like,
cool.
Was just bam, that clicked, that worked. And hey, listen, I don't know what you're doing next year. I don't think I'm racing here, but do you want to come with me? And he's been with me since.
Oh yeah.
So Ron comes down and helps. He's the crew chief, makes the calls, makes the adjustments, and then we've just got a bunch of folks who kind of come and go when they can, and that's how our operation is. When they want to have fun, they come down and help out.
Right. No, that's really cool. So take us through that weekend. What was that like for you, doing that double duty and then getting that win, man?
Well, it's been super hot. I know, Evan. Well, I mean, Cliff, you too. I mean, it's been well into the upper 90s with the heat index over 100 for a couple weeks now. But
yeah,
the Friday night race was fun. There was no points on the line. It was get in the car and bring me the steering wheel back kind of deal.
Yeah,
and brought the car back in one piece. Gave him a 3rd place finish and some confidence in his equipment.
Yep.
And then went out to the track the next day. Got out there, everything was ready, and we were fast in practice right away. Right out of the trailer with the adjustments we made over the week.
Nice.
And then come qualifying, we were 7 thousandths off the pole. Just missed that extra pole money.
Wow.
But we were, set us up. I mean, 7 thousandths. Think about that, man. That's less than a blink of an eye, you know. And you're putting full-size stock cars in that 7 thousandth of a second interval. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
That's
awesome
tight,
how the sport
man.
is. But the green flag dropped, and the car was a little bit loose, but we set the car to come to us after the long run. We did it right, and going into the last caution, I think we had 3 or 4 laps left, and we were in the right place at the right time. I got underneath Jeremy Bone, and just gave him a little tap. It wasn't bad, but set him up, and we came home with the win, man.
Yeah. Hey, so Evan and I have been talking about segments on the show, you know, break it up a little bit, and I just thought of one. Stupid questions with Obi, because I got a ton of them. I got a ton of them.
So we need to clarify that. He wasn't calling you stupid, Obi. That was not
it was me. I was calling me stupid.
Sometimes Cliff comes off a little cerebral. It's like the whole California thing. So
that's why you're going to get stupid questions. So check this out. No, because you talk about, this is what's great about you, Obi, and, you know, props to you, because you talk about some of those things that, you know, as a casual fan of racing, and especially even at the level that you're at, you hit on key areas that are very easy to transfer into cup racing or Xfinity or truck. And, you know, for me, you know, that's why even on my Twitter profile, I say I'm a student. I don't know everything, and I don't need to know everything, right? So you hit on something that I want to ask you, and like I said, it may be a stupid question, but when you say that you set up a car for a long run versus a short run car, you know, we generally know what that means, right? But I was kind of wondering, without, you know, showing all your cards, can you talk to what that means, setting up a car long versus short?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a bunch of different things that go into it, but the short and skinny, I suppose that when we talk about the short run versus long run, primarily we're talking about tires and tire pressures, to be exact. Any tire that you run across the track at speeds that we're hitting, there's friction, and you've got a 3,300-pound, give or take, car attached to it.
Right.
So there's G-force and lateral load and friction. And as the tire starts at a certain pressure, and as that friction increases and you start to drive harder and you start to drive in packs, you know, and push the car, as the friction goes up, so is the air pressure inside the tire.
Yep.
And, you know, without, like you said, without giving away all the cards, like a base tire pressure run for a race, we're starting those tires at like 10 PSI on the left side.
Wow.
You know, as compared to your highway vehicle where you're supposed to be at 32, 35, there's like no air pressure in there. Those things are almost flat. But that's on the left side, and when we get done with a run, we're up 25 pounds. So those tires are growing.
Wow.
And you set the practice laps and the data that you write down and all of the numbers that we save and document. Mm-hmm. We've got them to where we know where the optimum tire pressure for our setup that we're using is.
Yeah.
So we try and make the car get to those optimum pressures later in the run when you want to be more racy and you're running for wins rather than logging laps early in a race.
So the tires kind of come to you the more green flag run you have. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And, other things that we do for qualifying would be track bar and stuff like that, but that's getting, into the geometry side of things. But the tire pressures is mainly where we're at.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I want to ask that for, the benefit of people that listen. Like I said, we understand all that, but it's cool to hear somebody who actually understands the application of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it gives a great
quite
angle.
A different feel, too.
Yeah. Well, to us as fans, I mean, that tire pressure you're running on the left side equates to, shoot, I'm going to be late for work.
In a hurry. And the little light on the dash.
It won't go off. Yeah.
I want to go ahead and state. I want to state for the record too, just so everybody knows that you can't trust the left side tires anyways. So let's just go ahead and throw that out. With that. So,
right sides only is where the focus is, correct?
So the next thing I want to capitalize on, and this to me was like, not only are we just like totally just stoked for the fact that you grabbed the checker. So it's not just that, but you actually had basically landed a pretty monumental deal with somebody else who wanted to be in business with you. You went through all the effort of getting these people to the track, and you win a race right in front of them, right? So How cool was that to have Zip Air Tool USA on board, to have some of the representatives at the track, and then, hey man, you just bang out a win with them, right? So that had to have been super cool.
Yeah,
it was. Anytime that you're, in a position to where you can have a sponsor come on board mid-season to help you, it is great. But when you meet people that are into the sport and want to be involved and want to travel to races like Isaac and Shorty and Ted, it just makes it so much more special, because as you guys know, I'm all about having absolute just a blast. I'm a fun guy at the track, and even if we're running in last place, I'm at the track. I'm doing something right. I still have a car there. I'm having fun. I'm pursuing my passion. But to have these guys come in from Kent, Ohio, they left at like 3 a.m, day of the race, and they humped it down here, and just the whole deal just blew my mind. I love supporting the people that support me, and to have Zip Air Tools there, put this thing parked on the front stretch after I did my Polish victory lap. Yeah. That just makes it all come together, man. It was so cool to have them in. It's a tool that I stand behind, that I use in my day job, Zip Air Tools.
Cool.
And to have them on the car, have them there, it's just mind-blowing. It doesn't get any better than, that's like calling a home run in baseball like Babe Ruth did. Just here it comes and there it goes,
Yeah, no, that hits you square in the eyes, both personally and professionally, I'm sure. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
And not to mention everybody else. Not to mention everybody else that has backed you basically all the way through your journey, which has just been phenomenal. So
yeah,
I can tell you right now, dude. I was at my house. If you could have seen me when you posted how you did, I wish we could have. I wish we could watch it live. I really wish that it was televised. Because it just, you put so much stock and so much investment into people when you start getting to know them, and you're a family guy, and you make so many sacrifices to do what you do.
Yeah.
That seeing that, and then everything with your sponsors, and it's just really phenomenal. And man, Cliff and I we're like high-fiving over text message, and Batman, we're all high-fiving over text message because I know that you're just pumped to do what you do every weekend, regardless of the outcome. But let's face it, winning, it fixes everything, right? So,
totally.
It really does.
And what was nuts about that weekend was inside the car. I don't know if you guys have been following with the thermometer that we put on the inside. We put a greenhouse thermometer for gardening on the inside of the car, and it's been getting up to the 120s inside that car.
Oh, yeah.
So to have had an afternoon that hot and just kind of question, why in the world am I sitting in this car right now, and then put it in victory lane? It's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you need a stand-in, dude, I can use to shed a few pounds, so I'd be more than happy to sit there and run those temps for you.
It's definitely a couple. It's a couple. You got to stay hydrated and then rehydrate.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm learning how to do that. That's been a work in progress.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, the stamina, I'm sure, is key.
Let me tell you something, Obi. Yeah. We're so just, and I can tell you right now that you've cracked the seal and you've tasted sweet victory, there isn't any doubt in my mind with your work ethic and the people you have supporting you that this is just kind of a first in the many to come. I truly believe that. I believed it from the first time I met you, and we're super grateful to have been on the car. Believe it or not, we were actually on the side of your car, which is, I don't even know what to say. But to be on the side of a winning car, to me, is just kind of like...
I love having you guys along, but that was the first time I ever had faces on my car. It was pretty Ricky Bobby. I loved it.
It was really great, man. So thank you so much for all the love and support you throw our way, and big props to your wife and your beautiful little baby girl who supports you along the way. And, hey, man, give a big shout-out to your sponsors, man. Who makes this magic happen? Tell us.
Oh, man, Mark Doble, Buddy, and Michelle, the team down at Aviator. We were down there yesterday just hanging out. That's just a cool place, and they're a great group of people that back me at Aviator Brewing Company. Yearden and the staff, Ryan down there at Baby Moon Cafe, the best Italian food, I swear, in the state. It's like, you can kind of get addicted to it, so you got to ease off it because it's just so good. Zip Air Tools, everyone hit www.zipair.com. Check out the full line of air pneumatic tools and riveters, impact guns, saws. If you're building a race car, if you're working on a hobby car, they got everything you need. It's quality stuff. give Isaac and the folks up there a shout and get some stuff coming your way. I got Shamel Racing, a group of friends that come out and help me work on the car. Nectar Sunglasses, I think I heard that tonight, but Woody, Nick, and the guys over there, Nectar Sunglasses is a great place. Max Pappas is always helping me out driver coach-wise and steering wheel stuff. There's not a better thing on the market right now. Brad Keselowski has 2 wrists that are not hurt because he had an MPI steering wheel in the car this week. So testament to them guys.
Yep.
F&G Distributing, Noon, Honey Stinger, and who else we got? We got Simpson Racing too. They've been keeping me safe for 16 years in their helmets and fire suits, and
nice.
They're good people over there. They take care of me. So, like they always say, you guys say, support those who support the sport.
Yeah.
Hit those websites. Do me a solid. Tell them Obi and the Right Sides Only Radio sent you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Obi, for joining. Thanks for the stupid question segment too. I like it.
Hey, listen, let's make that a thing on Twitter. Hashtag stupid questions for Obi. I can see that rocking. We probably get some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Racing and non-racing.
Oh, dude, I got a laundry list you wouldn't believe.
Let me tell you something, dude. This relationship is not over with yet, and the interesting thing is, Cliff and I are on board with a lot of people who are either new or actually they weren't even NASCAR fans until here recently.
Yeah.
And we're trying to educate, and knowledge is always power, man. And when you could do it with someone who is gracious and knowledgeable as you, all the better, man. So
you got me smiling, Evan.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Good for you, dude.
No, man.
You guys are the best. Well, listen, congrats on the big show, guys. I'll be listening. Maybe at home, maybe at work. I don't know, but I'm super excited for you. You guys are doing an excellent job supporting grassroots racing and covering the Cup side. No one does that. I don't quote me, but I don't think anyone else is doing that. So thumbs up.
Don't put money on that because I need the money. But,
I got you.
All right,
fellas. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, and love you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks,
later.
bud.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right.
Obi, dude, you know what?
Obi.
I have to say something. I was thinking about this just a few seconds ago when he was wrapping up there. But you know what, man? I mean, it's really cool just to get to know somebody like that. Like I said, it's great to dig around in his head a little bit, too, and kind of help with, like I said, most of us know what that means. But the fact when he explained that really, really well. So, Obi, hats off to you, dude, because I really did appreciate that.
He's a student of the sport, and that's what's really great is no matter what level of racing or anything you're doing, I don't care if it's baseball, football, basketball, soccer, or football, or in this case racing, Obi's a consummate student of the sport. He's always looking for some little angle, and that's just a testament to his will to win and his work ethic. So, just big props to him, really, seriously.
Big stuff.
Good times.
It's a mental moisturizer.
Mental moisturizer. Well, you know what? Go for it. Since you did it. Let's talk a little bit about the race that didn't happen, the Poc-no-go.
The Poc-no-go, which is the title of this sport. Dude, check this out. So this afternoon, like I said, Evan and I have been chatting for a couple hours. We started digging in under the covers. You got Twitter and stuff. We can see, dude, everybody's like chilling. They got like Keelan Harvick out there splashing around in puddles and he was
the best thing that happened. He was the best thing that happened the entire day. Keelan Harvick was the show.
So, newsflash for anybody who doesn't know, Pocono is a no-go tonight. No race. They reschedule it, like Evan said earlier in the show, for 10:30 tomorrow. Call in sick, reschedule things, do what you got to do to watch the race tomorrow. But check this out. The Tricky Triangle, the 2.5-mile course, with 1974 was the first time they hosted a cup race there. This was interesting. So, check this out. They were going to close down that track, and Bill France Sr. came in.
Oh, no, not Pocono. Not
almost.
Pocono.
It was almost the track that wasn't. So,
oh, noes.
Yeah. So, anyways, digging around, it's like, okay, what about the history of the track? So, Bill France Sr. comes in. They want to pull up tent stakes, tear the whole thing down because they didn't like it for various other reasons. You can read that for yourself. But, Bill France Sr. came in and he pulled out. They said he told them what to do. Just hang in there. Things will turn around. Blah blah. They didn't want to do it, so Bill France Sr. pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. You wouldn't believe what he wrote on there. It's pretty cool. It's on their website. Go check it out if you haven't. He said, "On the plains of hesitation lie the bleached bones of millions who were within the grasp of victory, sat and waited and died." He left them with that.
He was such a visionary. Bill France was such a visionary, man. He really was.
That is visionary. Yeah, I mean, you walk out of a business meeting and the guy who's running, at that time, close to, he was struggling himself. I mean, that must have easily been his motto for that period of time, because it wasn't really until 1979 where, it really started hitting big for NASCAR.
Well, and whoever it was that designed this track, we're gonna delve off a little bit into statistics because Cliff and I are we're big on stats and math and geometry, right? Because we're total nerds. Cliff and I are total nerds. Don't get me wrong, we're the cool type.
Right.
We're actually the cool nerd. We're like the nerds you want to hang out with now. 30 years ago, maybe not so much, right? But this track is actually so unique because whoever it was that designed it, it was actually designed 1959 and 1962 Indy winner Roger Ward.
Yeah.
And here's how they did this. Turn 1 has 14-degree banking, was modeled after the now defunct Trenton Speedway. Turn 2, also known as the infamous tunnel turn. If you talk to any spotters in the business, they will tell you this is arguably the toughest because, in a nutshell, the cars go completely blind for a split second, right?
Yeah.
Is modeled after Indianapolis Motor Speedway with 9-degree banking. Turn 3 has 6-degree banking, is similar to the Milwaukee Mile. And here's the interesting thing about this track. None of the straightaways are equal in length.
Right.
The turns all have unique amounts of banking. It's referred to as a roval, an oval track that behaves like a road course.
Right.
Can you imagine the poor SOB that has to set up and dial in tire pressures, suspensions? Because everything you hear about this track, everyone talks about how turn 1 is so critical or this turn is so critical. So you have this issue here, this issue here. So really what this track, and by the way, it's a 2.5-mile track.
Right.
So by any other standards in the racing industry, this would be known as a super speedway with one exception.
Yep.
What is that exception, Cliff?
An additional turn.
Or
a lack of a fourth.
Or lack of a fourth, right? Yeah. So, and if you look at the track, if you know anything about geometry, the interesting thing about this track is it almost has 6 unique turning qualities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're transitioning from a unique bank to a unique bank, back to a unique bank.
Right.
With, oh, by the way, the straightaways are different.
That makes it unpredictable.
So the exits on each turn they change the whole game for the car.
Yep.
So that's why they enhance the tricky triangle. I mean, it really is a total mystery. And if you go back and you look at the winners of this race, it's almost the winners are almost kind of as much of a mystery as anything else because some drivers absolutely hate it. They just despise it. They can't seem to figure it out. And then some drivers just seem to exceed. They seem to excel at it. So there's Tricky Triangle. It's literally, it's an anomaly. It's a racing anomaly. Who in their right mind would have said, dude, I've got an idea. I'm going to make a track with only 3 turns. It's like,
right.
So
it's good. It makes for an interesting race, and especially tomorrow. They were interviewing Tony Stewart earlier in the pre-race about Mobil 1 being a major sponsor on 3 of the Stewart-Haas cars there. And, you had mentioned about the puddle turner, about the fact that, Tony was highlighting how difficult it could be if all 3 of those Stewart-Haas cars get close to each other. So aside from the banking and that sort of thing that you just highlighted, in the challenge for those spotters, those 3 spotters for Stewart-Haas are going to have their hands full tomorrow in that thing. So,
and the track will hold some speed too. Yeah. So don't discredit the fact that because it's kind of wonky. An interesting bit of trivia that Cliff and I didn't know, and I know this isn't NASCAR, but JPM Juan Pablo Montoya, he actually holds the record for 223.871 miles per hour for Team Penske in 2014 in the IndyCar Series. He averaged 223 miles an hour around this just absolute insane track.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll hold some speed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's what they're looking forward to. So we'll have to see what we get tomorrow, man. And along those same stats, like you had just talked about with Juan Pablo, the fact was I was shocked to find out that how well Kyle Larson does out there. So, we picked our picks last week, but now I want to change mine.
Well, you know what? It's interesting.
I'm kidding.
It's interesting. Well, it's kind of interesting you brought that up because you would think that somebody that was successful on dirt would do a good job, and here's why. Dirt tracks are constantly changing.
Right.
Now, all tracks in the NASCAR series are actually, they change depending on track temperature, the compound of tire. But this track is literally from turn to turn to turn different. And you would think that that would naturally cater to someone who races in dirt. Every time they see a turn, something is different, right? So,
yep.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
I wish I was going to be home. I actually love Pocono.
Yeah.
And it to me, it brings with it some really fond memories, like 2015 Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I love it for Martin Truex Jr. being on the pole for tomorrow.
It was really, really that. So, yeah, so that was kind of a momentous thing in and of itself. There's some potential history to be made with the 41 car. So, I mean, it's going to be a really neat race. I actually enjoy the race. And by the way, Pocono Speedway and NASCAR was actually touting that this was actually going to be a record turnout.
Yeah.
They were really, I mean, the grandstands were packed for this race.
Well, I got to imagine the infield and the outfield of that track right now is probably going off for those that are able to stick around for one more day.
What are your thoughts? Why do you think that this weekend was going to be any different than any normal weekend?
Me?
Cliff? Yeah.
Because Jeff Gordon was in the car again.
The Gordon factory.
Yeah.
The Gordon factory, you think?
Yeah. Maybe that.
I know. I think it might have been. Yeah, I think that might have been a pretty good one. I think, and that obviously on the heels of
Why
Dale
was
Jr.
that a trick question? What'd you think?
Well, no, I honestly I was curious about it myself.
Yeah.
So did they just decide that? I mean, everybody wanted to come back and see Jeff Gordon race one. more
I see.
time,
for the attendance,
possibly more
for the
times?
attendance aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just that part of the country has a better draw for that sort of thing. I mean, whatever they've got two races. I don't know. Maybe it's the Jeff Gordon factor. It's hard to say. It's going to be difficult.
Really
it's difficult. It's going to be difficult because tomorrow, like I said, some people are going home bummed tonight, right? They're not going to get to see the race. There's just no option. So that kind of sucks for those folks. So I would expect, if people are going to be watching the race tomorrow and they see empty stands, I certainly wouldn't attribute that to ticket sales. And, until we see those kinds of numbers come out, what was sold versus the actual attendance, it's hard. I don't know. I think, Gordon's always a draw. But, again, I don't know. I don't get hung up on the stands are empty thing.
I don't either. I mean, honestly, I don't either. I mean, we watched the Xfinity series at Iowa, and let me tell you something. I like Iowa.
Yeah.
I think it's a neat little track. It's bumpy. It's rough. And oh, by the way, Joe Gibbs basically dominated without even stepping foot on the starting grid of the Cup Series race today.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs has already set the pace for the weekend, by the way.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean...
Well, we were talking about that. So, with Eric Jones winning yesterday in Xfinity
race.
And William Byron with Kyle Busch Motorsports. So my comment to Evan earlier before we got on the show tonight was, Joe Gibbs Racing, I mean, we've talked about this for so long now. It's been ever since Kyle's return, which was, last May or June last year. And ever since that guy had stepped foot back into a Cup car or an Xfinity car, the guy's just been incredibly dominant. So, and not just Kyle Busch himself, but his team, whether it's Joe Gibbs Racing or whether it's Kyle Busch Motorsports. I think you mentioned it last week. I mean, he's just, everything he gets himself into, it's just incredible. But, on the flip side of that, these guys like William Byron, getting his 5th win of the season, phenomenal job for him. Eric Jones picking up his third win this season so far, and struggling back from the loss of his dad and, all that sort of stuff that's probably, that he's had to deal with on a personal level. I can imagine it's so good to be part of anything that's got anything to do with Joe Gibbs right now.
Well, I mean, and let's step back and take like the 64,000-foot view of where NASCAR stands right now. You have the potential. Joe Gibbs Racing has the potential right now to clinch a team or an organizational championship in Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity, and possibly Cup.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Oh, I expect that by the time we go to Homestead. I certainly expect to see Kyle there, and I would not be surprised if one more of those spots is occupied by a Gibbs car easily. I would not be shocked.
And regardless of what anybody says, and Cliff actually honed into it, and he hit me up about it yesterday in text message, and this is kind of the way that Cliff and I are tuned in. Cliff sent me a text and said, hey, that was interesting what they said about Keselowski being the only Cup regular actually went to Iowa to race. And they made the comment about him kind of dialing in the team, right? Kind of trying to dial in the 22 car. So how much of Kyle Busch's input has equated to success for these developmental drivers? And then it's not undermining the talent of William Byron. It's not undermining the talent of Eric Jones. But I'm talking about from a pure driver basically knowing how to dial cars in for each track and saying, Eric, here you go. William, here's your truck, right?
Right.
I actually think that in a lot of ways, my challenge to people is I think these Cup drivers racing in lesser series, Xfinity and Camping World Truck Series, equates to helping these developmental drivers that are making their way up in basically saying, hey, look, this track handles like this, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
they're giving their teams and these new drivers something they can actually work with instead of sticking a 19-year-old. William Byron's 19 years old.
Yeah. I think exactly that, I think that they're, Brad and Kyle and Harvick, all those guys are able to give a level of feedback. And it's kind of interesting because if you really think about it, it begs the question of, are these veteran drivers that are driving in these series, are they pushing the limits of the setups and these cars so that the drivers can level up against how those setups are? Or are they, getting it to a point where they're trying to just push the drivers to be better at how they communicate that sort of thing? You know what I'm saying? So if Brad gets in the 22, dude, I got to expect that Brad's driving the hell out of the 22 and telling them where that car needs to be so that whoever they stick behind the wheel of that thing, that car's already maxed out or close to being maxed out of, where it needs to be pushed. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of creates that buffer for that upcoming driver that needs to drive that car so that driver achieves a level of performance that matches the car. You see what I'm saying?
It's kind of like buying a new car. It's like buying a car for your kid.
Yeah.
Do you stick him in the old hoopty with the old fake wood grain down the side, and you're not really sure how this thing's going to handle, or do you put him in something and you're like, hey, look, we've dialed this car in. What we need you to do is we need you to get behind the wheel and give us feedback on how it feels.
Right.
But we built you a solid car.
Yeah.
And let's face it, these teams live and die. They live and die by wins and losses.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
But I got to imagine there's a coaching opportunity in that because, again, the drivers also got to communicate what they're comfortable with doing. So collectively, when you bring all those data points in my technology mind, it's like when you bring that all together, now what does that mean? Because I'm certain we know that those cars are set up differently, Joey versus Brad, you know what I'm saying? Or
absolutely.
So but the key element is it's like what Harvick said today on the pre-show, with missing Rodney Childers and having Dax Geringer in there. The fact is that he said, well, it pushed everybody kind of out of their comfort zone, and they had to become better communicators, which, I think was rather interesting to realize that, you have to be able to push yourselves out of that place where it's just comfortable and everybody knows what everybody else is up to, and just responding as everybody responds on a weekly basis. Arguably, he says, look, we wouldn't want this every week, but to see everything from a different angle or a different perspective, Harvick's certainly expecting we'll have the results they're looking for, like a win tomorrow, because he's my pick.
Well, hey, let me tell you something, dude. If you think just because Rodney Childers can't be hanging out with like a trench coat and a hat and some dark sunglasses, if you think just because he can't be at the track with any valuable input that Dax isn't sitting on a 3-ring binder full of notes, you're crazy.
No,
so
I know.
That's the reason why basically when you see these teams that because of lug nuts, when you see these teams losing their crew chiefs because of some type of penalty, they almost kind of hit the track and kind of operate seamlessly. That's not a discount against the everyday crew chief. That's a tribute to how well these teams operate, the well-oiled machine of these organizations.
Right.
You're talking about every single one of these teams is a multi-million-dollar business.
Yep.
And they're not just gonna throw it all away because a lug nut fell off during the race, or because their skew was off during laser inspection, or any number of the things that could possibly happen during a race. So that's actually a tribute to how well these organizations operate. It's not a knock against Rodney Childers.
No, not at all.
So
and all those things are going to become increasingly more critical as each week starts to tick off too. I think I was mentioning it to you, realizing that it's like, wow, we're only about 6 weeks away from the end of the regular Sprint Cup season. So
it's crazy, Cliff.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's come by quick, man.
Before you know it, we're going to be kicking our big show off.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it's
September
coming.
12th.
We're going to be talking all kinds of stuff. We're going to be talking, the postseason, and we're going to be talking the chase, and we're going to have all kinds of great stuff to talk about. So,
yeah, it's going to be crazy, man. The big show.
It's coming fast. It's like I'll be wiping a tear from my eye. But
follow us at Right Sides Radio. We're going to keep you posted over there for the big show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what the race is like tomorrow out there at Pocono. Like I said, set your DVRs. Got to catch that. Yeah, it's good. Monday night, get home from work, you got a race to watch.
Telephone, tell a friend, television. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
Stay off of Twitter all day tomorrow.
Stay off. You're going to have to lock your. Yeah, just don't block everybody.
Yeah.
Just don't get on it. You don't have to go block all your buddies and everything. We're not asking for you to do that, but
it's going to be tough.
Except I might block Cliff. Right, maybe. Just to see what you say. I might just block you just to see what happens. But you won't care anyways, because you're
if you block
never on Twitter. Yeah, you're like never on Twitter anyway.
I'm on there. I know. I try not to get too heavy into it.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like people. I love the listeners, the followers we have, as do you. So we appreciate the support. No, I don't know. Because I'm always, it seems like 140 characters. It's like an open protest, dude. The 140 characters thing's got to go.
Yes, I know.
It's true, man. But then I start thinking about it, and it's like, holy cow, I don't know if I can handle anymore.
If you knew Cliff and I, you'd know that we can't do anything in 140 characters.
People would hate us.
Yeah. Go ahead and open it up to 10,000, and we'll be screaming for 11,000 at some point.
So as always, follow us over at Right Sides Radio on Twitter. Download our podcasts all over the place. Google Play is the app. Google App Store or Apple App Store's got us over there. Like us, share us, tell your friends, tell your family. Give us away as a college departing gift.
Yeah, telephone, tell a friend, tell everybody.
Yeah, that's a wrap, dude. Looking forward to next weekend.
Yeah, man. Yeah, always looking forward to it, man. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
We're out of here. Y'all have a great week. Good luck to your driver tomorrow at Pocono. See ya.
Whoever they are. Peace.